Okay. I think it was paused on my side.
Okay.
In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being audio-video recorded. The agenda lists all of the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those that are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may be, in fact, be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Please address all comments to the chair. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held by Zoom at the link provided in this notice. To anybody that's joining us online, the Zoom meeting ID is 839-3048-0895. Passcode 860872. And of course, you can find that Zoom link in the meeting agenda that's posted at lunenburgmass.gov under on the town calendar. I'm going to start out with a roll call vote. Bob Pease.
Present.
Richard Tremblay.
Present.
Rich Bursch. No. Jeff Viviano notified me he was not going to be here. Mike LaRouche. No. Chris St. Germain.
Present.
Okay, thank you. So that does constitute 4, and so that does give us quorum. So we will proceed. I am going to call this meeting to order. Do we have any announcements by commissioners? Okay, any comments by members of the public? And if so, state your name and address and address all comments to the chair. Seeing no raised hands. I have not seen any posting in meeting minutes from the previous meetings, and due to our office personnel vacancy, we are behind, woefully behind in meeting minutes. I know that Adam and Ashley are working on that, but I've not seen any distributed. So I don't think we have any to vote on.
We don't.
I will then move on to appointment hearings. And we will start out with 46 Maple Parkway drainage issues. Do we have somebody from 46 Maple Parkway here with us tonight?
Hi, Mary. This is Jay Campbell, the property owner.
Hi, Jake.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us what's going on?
So I'm accompanied by my father, Peter Campbell, as he is obviously involved as well with the discussions. I believe Bob Pease came to our property a couple weeks ago to take a peek at around our property with drainage issues. We currently have a major issue of an intermittent stream that has been affected by tree cutting across all behind my property. I've had the DCR involved and the DEP involved. Also, the head of the health department of Lunenburg. Also, I've been speaking with Adam Burney. I've been dealing with this probably for over a month now. What's been going on is two trees being cut down behind my property that, according to the tree cutting plan that I received from the DCR and the Forestry Commission over here in central Massachusetts, that they were only allowed to cut a certain part of the tree cutting plan. And it seems like they, according to Jennifer Fish, the head of the DCR of the Worcester area, they didn't follow that cutting plan correctly, which has caused large amounts of rain runoff and just water runoff since the tree cutting of October of last year. It wasn't a major issue until obviously the past couple of months with the rain. It's just been uncontrollably damaging my property and my neighboring properties. I just wanted to bring it to your folks' attention. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about anything about this. Pretty much what's been going on is there's like a stream next to my home. There's a drainage ditch or a drainage thing, like structure that was built. It looks like it's like 70, 80 years old. And the fact that it cannot keep up with the capacity of water due to the terrain being changed by the tree cutting. And I just want to bring it to your folks' attention to see what we can do about that. Again, I have videos of the issues. My insurance won't cover anything due to the water runoff coming from the property owner behind me's property, which is Stephen Powell. I had them come to my property yesterday, and they were saying that they weren't involved with anything, and they told me that they're going to look into the issue because I brought it to their attention because I had the health department, Andrea telling me it's a civil matter. I just want to find out who's responsible for this.
Jake, fair to ask, and thanks for bringing it to our attention. When you said damage, what kind of damage specifically have you observed? You don't have to be super detailed, but just in general.
So pretty much it's becoming even a health issue with my septic system. My whole crawl space got flooded from the water runoff coming from above the hill and from the additional water that's getting affected on the stream due to that water runoff and the trees being cut down. My whole house got flooded all the way to the tippy tops of my floors. My furnace has been ruined. I can't use my backyard. Me and my dog can't use their backyard anymore because it's literally even from like just a day of rain, it just floods me. It's coming to the point now, like, hey, it's like my house, I can't like live in my house anymore. It's just horrible. Again, my insurance won't cover it due to it coming from a different property. And it's come to the point of it was pretty much tolerable right after they cut the trees, but as obviously we weren't sure about this now because every single time it rains, even though we've had these big storms this past month, even before that, the water has just been going in my property and damaging. I can't even keep up with it. My sub pump I have under my house can't even keep up with it anymore. It just happened after you cut the trees down. I'm not trying to stick up for anybody else on my road here, but it's not just me getting affected, but again, it's just becoming to the point of it's ruining my home since they cut the trees down.
Okay, thank you for that, Jake. I see that Bob Pease and Rich Tremblay have their hands raised. Bob, I'll let you go next. I think you had been out to this property.
Yeah, I went out and looked at the property. I called Chris Capone, who is the state forester for this area. Chris had been off the week before on vacation, and so one of his associates went out and looked at the property with Jake before I got there. And then Chris called me back on after that weekend and told me that he was going out to look at it with his boss, which he did. And after he did that, they then called in. The last time I spoke with him, he was going to have a conference call with Mia McDonald and his boss and him and somebody else from the wetlands division about, what could they do, as far as some enforcement action out there, because, the cutting was more than, was not totally consistent with the cutting plan. When I went out there, I told Jake that in my opinion, I mean, there's certainly a lot more water coming off the hillside onto his property, it appears. But it's not a wetlands issue, it is, and so I'm hoping the DCR can help him. But I don't know what happened with that, with that conference call. Because I also am of the opinion that some of the water that's coming off of the hillside could be directed into the drain that's next to Chris's house, but that's just my personal opinion. Jake, said, why should I have to pay for it? And it's not on my land, kind of thing. And so that's what I know about it. And certainly there's a problem, but I don't know that there are any wetlands issues in this problem, or anything that's in our jurisdiction. And that's what I have to say at this time.
Thank you, Bob. Rich Tremblay, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Question for Mr. Campbell. I was just curious, the water flowing across your property, where did that water go before any of the tree cutting started? Was this coming across your property and now it's increased, or was it totally redirected?
Totally redirected onto my property, Richard. So what's been going on is like I literally have videos of it right when after it started snowing. It was never there. Nothing was never there. It just started coming down. It's like, Richard, it's like a whole nother like body of stream. It's literally flowing on top of the interdimensional stream that's already there. There's a whole nother one on top of there now. The whole terrain got affected by the tree cutting. I literally followed all the way up to the road where the DCR team went with Jacob, Jennifer, and even before they came, I looked up and it's been just horrible. It's not good. It's literally increasing the volume of water. Again, it's like a whole nother stream, but on top of that, it's affecting that interdimensional stream that's already there. And it's come to the point that due to the tree cutting and what they did, they just increased the obviously the water flow, which is causing obviously the overflow for the structure that I have in place when I bought the property. But again, there's a whole nother portion of it going up from the top of the hill that's forming on below the hill.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Rich. Bob, you had your hand up again?
I did. It's my opinion that the increased flow is due to the cutting of trees. When you have trees on the property, they take and they suck water out of the ground, and it evaporates out of the leaves in a process called transpiration, and that removes a tremendous amount of water out of the soil. And when you take that away, that water stays in the ground. I used to live next to a cornfield, and the house right behind me was next to the cornfield, and they had a sump pump, and as long as the cornfield was there, that sump pump never ran. But 2 days after they cut the cornfield, that sump pump ran 24/7, because the corn, sucks so much water out of the ground. And I think the same thing is going on here. The loss of all the vegetation means that you've lost a tremendous amount of evaporation. And so now that water is in the ground and it's running down the hill. It appeared to me like sheet flow, because the next neighbor over also had water run into their backyard. But that's just my personal opinion based on a very brief site visit.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
So
And
go ahead.
Mary, sorry to
Jake.
interrupt again. I even follow at the beginning of the stream at the top of my road. It's even getting overflowed on the top of the hill top of the road as well, which is going onto the main road, is crossing another gentleman's property, and pretty much it's dramatic amounts of water going down our road, going over the drainage systems that's installed on our road, and it's flooding. And I'm not trying to like solve other people's issues as well, because mine's major too. It's literally flooding everybody's house, because it's the amount of water is so much that even the drainage systems that we have on our main road are being affected. Because what's been happening is, on top of that, since I'm getting overflowed, it's literally going through the side of my house in 3 different directions, and it's literally adding to the amounts of water.
Yeah, it sounds like a bad situation. I haven't had the benefit of walking out there. I have looked at recent post tree harvest satellite images and compared those to pre tree harvest satellite imagery, and you can tell it's very extensive, the tree removal that was done in that property. I have to say I'm not surprised, given the topography there and the vast removal of trees, that there's a problem. It's unfortunate. I also have compared those areas and those parcels to the DEP wetlands map, and I I have to say, I don't see that there's a wetlands jurisdictional issue there. So I don't think there's anything within the Wetlands Protection Act that we can do to help you with this, Jake. Now,
Mary, I do have the tree cutting plan, and the tree cutting plan does show the wetlands that's next to my property.
have you provided that to the Conservation Commission?
I have not. I just haven't really had. Obviously, I don't know who to send that to. But I did get it from the DCR. I definitely could share it. I can share the image if you like. I don't know if I'm allowed on here. I can definitely share my screen and show you folks what the tree cutting plan actually shows. I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I definitely can.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why you can't. But so, you know, wetlands being there, rainwater going into wetlands is not, it's not a problem. That's not a violation. I think probably the best thing that I would recommend that you do, and I'll also would like to hear from my fellow commissioners, is maybe can you make a copy and drop it off at our office, and with a note for that to be uploaded to our file for this parcel. Jake, would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, I can definitely do that for you. I'm
Okay.
just pull it up right now. I do have it.
And Bob, do you happen to know, as the tree cutting is exempted from our jurisdiction, right? So it happens with the state forester and is managed out of there. Presumably, any actions that they take, would they be notifying abutters of actions that they're taking, or how would Jake know about those matters and those actions?
I do not know, Mary. And it also sounded to me that, this is an interpretation on my part, that Chris Capone and his boss at DCR were reaching out to the DEP in hopes that they had better regulatory tools than the DCR had. And so, you know, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here. But again, I go back to at this time, you know, I don't see any wetlands issues here. So that's my thought.
Thank you, Bob. And would this be in terms of, I never like to leave a member of the public who's got a valid concern hanging. So would this be something that perhaps Jake should bring up to the select board?
I mean, I suppose he could, but they don't really have any jurisdiction over it all. You know, the health department, it would seem to me, might have some jurisdictions, since his it appeared to me like that there was a chance that his septic field was getting drowned out by this. But you know, I don't really know. So
Okay.
I just have a quick question for you folks too. Like, who's enforcing this? Who's the enforcement? Do I call the police? Do I I literally have no clue who to contact.
I would just, in my opinion, it's certainly not a criminal matter. I agree that it certainly has a lot of the attributes of something that would typically be a civil matter. You know, but it would seem to me like, you know, there should be some way and I would hope that there would be some way that the DCR could take and provide some remedies, since they approved the forest cutting plan, and the forest cutting plan wasn't followed, but I'm not sure what options they have, what regulatory tools they have at their disposal, for that. So, I wish I had a better answer.
So, but it would be, it wouldn't hurt, I guess, Bob, in your opinion, for Jake to, sounds like he's already talked to the Department of Health here in town, and has already talked to the state forester, but perhaps to follow up with DCR.
No, I would definitely be following up with DCR if I was him, because I think that's his best shot at some recourse here, since, they issued the forest plan, and the forester said it appears as though the plan wasn't followed. And so I think it's a very reasonable question, as a member of the public, say, well, then what are you going to do about it? This is impact, your lack of enforcement, or your lack of, their lack of compliance with your forest cutting plan is negatively impacting me. So what are you going to do about it? I think that's a very reasonable question to ask the DCR. And I might go up if I was him, I would go up the DCR food chain, so, but that's just my.
Yeah, Bob, I've been speaking to the director over there as well. Again, I still have to wait for the report to be fully come out. So since it's not a protected wetlands next to my home, according to you folks, I can literally go backfill it, correct? If I really wanted to. Like if I wanted to fill that whole entire property behind my property.
No, that's, I think you've misunderstood. We said that the Wetlands Protection Act, I said that the Wetlands Protection Act doesn't, it's not a violation for rainwater to flow into the wetlands.
Okay.
So it is protected area, but it's protected for certain and prohibited for certain actions to happen there. Rainwater and rainwater discharge is not prohibited for a wetland.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jake. Sorry about all that. Okay, we'll move along to the next appointment hearing, 780 Northfield Road. Jim Latanzi, seems like you're with us tonight, Jim.
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Jim. Do you want to maybe take us through everything that's happening there? It seems like maybe a concerned neighbor had raised an issue with DEP about that access road onto the tree farm at that location.
Yes. So as you're aware, we did build a new farm access driveway last summer. It was something that we had done after going through all of the known permitting steps. We started by going through planning board because Northfield Road is a scenic roadway. We had a couple hearings there. I had gone to the former conservation agent, and it was my understanding he had written an email that said that there was no conservation issue. And so after going through the rest of the driveway permit application process, building, fire, police, etc., DPW, we were granted a permit last spring. We executed that, I think it was sometime in August. It was brought to my attention just a couple of weeks ago that somebody had notified the DEP with a couple of claims regarding the work that we had done. And so I spoke with Adam. He gave me a call and just said, hey, I want to give you a heads up. But there were two claims. One, the larger one in question was that we had crossed an intermittent stream on the property without filing a limited NOI. But the reality was that there was an existing crossing where we went through. And I had emailed some pictures off from when we did the work last summer. There was an existing culvert pipe, and what we did, the culvert pipe was in tough shape, so we replaced it with a larger one. it seemed like I believe it was maybe I got to be honest, I'm not sure if it was an 18-inch or 24-inch, but whatever it was that was there, we'd upsized it and we put a new pipe in. And then the other claim that was made to DEP was that our access drive was within the 100-foot buffer zone that would be, protected with a limited NOI. But that's actually not true. The stream that flows out of Kelly's Pond and then across into my property and down into our irrigation pond, the closest we come is 116 feet from that pond. So what happened, I have a relationship with Mia McDonald from DEP. So I reached out to her right away and I just touched base and let her know, that was brought to my attention that a complaint had been filed or notification had been filed. I sent her the pictures when we did the work of the existing culvert pipe that we had removed and the new one that went in, as well as just an update that, hey, we remeasured one more time and we are closest 116 feet. Mia's response was that, it's not her position. Obviously, this is, conservation, it's in front of them, but she would be happy to advise if there was any questions or issues. But given that what we were doing was maintenance, considered maintenance on our farm, that's an exempted activity, replacing a culvert pipe, and she didn't have any concern if we were not within the 100-foot buffer zone. And again, I'm not super familiar with the process, but my understanding is that maybe we should have filed a limited NOI for the project. But again, that's not my area of expertise. I don't necessarily know what we would do now where the work is completed. I went in when we did the work, we followed all our normal SWIP measures. We used silt fence and we stabilized the site as quickly as possible. It's completely stable at this point. So I don't know what we would have done differently other than at this point, maybe there should have been a different process. But again, when I went through the whole driveway permit process, I had gone to Mr. Morrow, the former conservation agent, and he said that I was exempted from whatever the oversight would have been there.
Thank you for that overview, Jim. Just so I'm clear too, was there an existing cart path or other type of access road in that location, or was this completely new?
There was. This was because we know this because there was a break in the stone wall, which was a whole part of our discussion, and we used that existing break. We did certainly widen that out, and I suppose I should start right in the beginning. The reason that we looked at putting in this, we have an access road on West Townsend Road into the Christmas tree farm, but I don't know if you're familiar, but my home farm is in Fitchburg. If you follow over Northfield Road past the golf course, turn left onto Marshall Road at the top of the hill there. And where we travel back and forth between the farms frequently, all the time, every day, with farm equipment, oversized equipment, hay equipment, tillage equipment, really it was a safety issue with trying to deal with the intersection at Route 13. It's already a bad intersection, never mind trying to pull out with a tractor and big slow moving equipment. And so that's why I had looked to put in this farm access driveway, so that we could avoid that intersection and travel between the farms safely. And again, we went through that process starting in, I believe it was February of last year.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And thanks for that summary. That's before my tenure here on the Conservation Commission. Bob, I see you have your hand raised. Do you have any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions. I have some comments. My comments are, Matt Morrow clearly ruled at the time that this was an exempt activity, that it was maintenance. The complainer asserted that there wasn't a previous cart path there. And the complainer asserted that, it was that the activity was within 100 feet. At the time, Matt Morrow told, because I was chair at the time, and I questioned Matt on this closely because the complainer also called me while I was on vacation in Florida, to complain about this. And so I came back and I questioned Matt closely about this. And he said, no, that's an exempt activity. There's an existing cart path and it's not within 100 feet. I know some people expressed skepticism that there was an existing cart path there. But clearly, I saw the pictures of the culvert, and in my opinion, it was an 18-inch culvert. There was an existing culvert there. The culvert was, to me, the break in the stone wall and the existence of the culvert shows that there was a farm road there, and they were maintaining it and widening it. And if the chair would allow, after discussion, I would love to make a motion to affirm Matt Morrow's the initial decision that everything that happened there was an exempt farm activity. But I don't want to do that now because we haven't had, waiting for, additional discussion.
I don't see any other hands raised at this time. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, I would entertain a motion to affirm.
I would like
Matt
to make
Morrow's,
a motion affirming the initial decision of our conservation administrator that the activities there to improve and widen that access were an exempt activity, under Massachusetts, under the Massachusetts Wetlands Act and our local bylaw.
Richard would second that motion.
Okay, thank you. We will have a roll call vote. Bob Pease,
I vote aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. So we have taken a vote to affirm Matt Morrow's original determination that this was an exempt activity under Mass Wetlands Protection Act and our municipal bylaws. Jim, thank you so much for showing up tonight and taking us through all the back and forth. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
And Rich, I forgot to ask, but as the clerk, would you be willing to take some brief notes tonight for us so that we can send a summary into the office tomorrow and get any approvals and determinations, get them working on getting signatures set up for us?
I will.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Rich, they're not meeting minutes, they're just summary of actions.
Yes. Good clarification, Bob. Thank you. Okay, we'll move into the new public hearing sections. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Dennis and Laura McDonald for a proposed deck staircase for waterfront access and a seasonal dock installation at 40 Laurel Lane. Do we have the McDonald's or their representative here with us tonight?
Madam Chair, my name is Greg Roy with Dillison Roy. I am representing the applicant this evening.
We are here as
Thank you,
well.
Greg. Oh, excellent.
Yep,
We have everybody.
Everybody in the room.
Greg, do you want to run us through this project? And
Yes.
I think I've given you share permissions.
Okay, great. Bear with me here. I'll put the, well, it's still saying it's disabled, Mary.
Try now.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay, how's that?
I can see your screen.
All right. So as you read, we're here representing the project at 40 Laurel, which is on Lake Whalum. And the applicants wish to construct an access pathway, if you will, from their property, which is quite a bit higher than the lake, down to Lake Whalum so that they can access the lake for recreational purposes. Currently, there is no formalized access from the house down to the lake. So really, the work is limited to just that scope, is to build what would be required to get what we consider a reasonable access down to the water. The commission may remember, we actually came before you a couple months ago. I think it was around the 7th of June to discuss this project on an informal basis. We appreciate you taking our taking that up that evening. And we did receive some input from the commission on that evening that perhaps we should steer our attention towards a framed staircase from the top down to the bottom where the water is. The other things that were discussed that evening were that we were going to attempt to use helical piles for the construction of those footings. Helical piles are, of course, sort of a drilled solution that that's a substitution for a traditional sonotube type foundation that you would see on a deck. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we progress. So the plan that you have in front of you shows the proposed location. Since the meeting, we've done a on the ground survey of the property, located the edge of Lake Whalum, taken the various elevations and things. So you can see by the in this location down to the water. And what we're proposing is to construct a wooden boardwalk / staircase, if you will. From this location here, we'll construct that flat until we get out to a point where we have to start with the staircase, and then we'd be constructing down to a limited 8-foot wide landing area down by the water. And then the proposal is also to install a seasonal floating dock in the water. And then there would be stairs that sort of go from the permanent landing here on the shore down to that floating dock to have access over that last stretch of bank, which is quite steep down by the water. You can see here that we're proposing several native plantings and shrubs. Lakeview Nurseries is actually working on this for the applicants, and we'll be doing that planting with native shrubs all along the edge of this. We've located these significant trees. There's several larger canopy trees, if you will, on that slope. We're not proposing to take any trees with this project. We've that we would need to take down for the purposes of doing the construction. The applicant has engaged with a local contractor. Peritus Construction actually will be working on the framing for this. The area along the slope, particularly as you get up towards the house and the flatter section of the lawn, has quite a bit of rock, likely ledge, and the contractor is really not thinking that helical piles is going to be a great option in this location just because of the edge. We're going to, he thinks he's going to quickly hit refusal in those locations. Down by the water, we think we can actually use the helical piles in that location. So our proposal tonight is to use helical piles to the maximum extent possible. But we think that as we go further up the slope, to the rock.
So Greg, I don't know if it's you or me, but I am having circumstances where it seems like your audio is dropping out. Is anybody else having that as well?
It is Greg. It's
Okay.
everybody else is in motion. And
Okay.
Greg cuts out and freezes. So
Oh, boy. All right. Let me turn my video off and see if I can make it a little better.
That should help a little.
I'll try that. I apologize to be rude and not have my video on, but So I'm not sure what you heard, but
That
Oh,
last
yep.
little bit, I think I've put together everything that you said except for like the last like 30 seconds of what you were talking about.
okay, the last 30 seconds was a summary of the helical piles. We are still intended to use helical piles to the maximum extent possible, but we think that they're going to be hard. They're not going to be a great option as we get further up the slope because of the presence of rock. So we think we're going to have to use a more conventional sonotube treatment in those locations. But down by the water, we think we can use the helical pile still. The only other thing I wanted to say before I stop talking and open it up for questions, actually two things. The initial plan that we put before you had a rather large deck structure up at the top of the slope. We have since modified that. The applicants have decided not to construct that deck landing at the top of the slope. This is really just going to be a formalized walkway down to the water, if you will. And then the only other thing I wanted to say was that we did receive a file number for this from DEP last week. They had one comment relative to whether or not the project was going to impact Bank, which is a resource area under the Wetlands Protection Act, or land underwater, which is also a resource area under the act. The lower landing is actually going to be constructed above the floodplain elevation and therefore above the bank. So we will not be impacting any bank. So we intentionally did not include any alteration numbers in our filing for bank. And the same thing is true for land underwater. We're not, the dock proposed is going to be a floating dock, so we're not proposing any alteration to land underwater either. So I think that's it. I'm happy to take any comments or questions.
That
Greg.
actually addressed everything that I would have asked, Greg. So thank you for that comprehensive overview. I see that Chris St. Germain has his hand raised. I'll call on Chris.
Yes, thank you. Greg, the only part you cut out for me was when you were talking about the deciduous trees, just confirming that you're not touching them.
Correct, Chris. Yeah, you can see the larger symbols here that we have, the 24 inch deciduous. We have trouble to actually do species identification, so I apologize, but
Oh, that's fine.
hardwood
you.
trees are these deciduous, and then over here, we're not touching any canopy trees. It's really just brush,
Perfect.
smaller diameter brush that we need to
Right.
remove to build.
All right, thank you.
Do I have any other questions from fellow commissioners? See no hands raised. Do I have, are there members of the public that have questions or comments? I see no hands raised. Okay, I think I am looking for a motion. I think I'm looking for a motion to approve the NOI with a standard order of conditions.
So moved.
Second,
I have a-
Richard. I'll second
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. I was just making my own notes too. Thank you, Rich. Okay, we'll proceed with a roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
and I for myself. So that's an approval for this NOI with a standard order of conditions. Thank you,
Great.
Greg.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll move on to the next hearing. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a request for determination of applicability by Michael Coulomb for installation of 2 4x20 aluminum rollout docks with a 4-foot ramp along the shoreline adjacent to Hemlock Beach at 100 Hemlock Drive. Do we have members of the, I think, Hickory Hills Homeowners Association and or Michael Coulomb on tonight?
Yes, there are 2 of us tonight. John Fortune, who's the president of the board of directors, and I am the land and resource chair. I applied on behalf of Hickory Hills landowners to put these 2 docks in, which will be leased to people on our waiting list of off-lake residents who are looking to get their boats on the lake. I don't know if John has a comment.
Nope, I think you summarized it pretty well, Mike. Thank you.
Okay, now, do you have a like a drawing or anything? I was just trying to find in the drive. We usually have our administrator helping us with this while we're doing the meetings.
I did submit a drawing. I can see if I can find it on my computer.
That would be helpful.
It's in the Google Drive.
Do you have that up, Chris? Could you share that?
Sure.
I love it when we have people who are good at IT on the commission.
Excellent.
Is this
There you go.
is this the drawing you're referring to?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So that shows Hemlock Beach on the right of that drawing and an existing dock to the left of the drawing. And we are applying to put 2 docks in the middle along the shoreline, which would be rolled out off-season. And the dimensions there are approximate. They would be modified slightly just to make sure that we can roll them out and not hit any trees.
And how would those connect to the shoreline?
There's a 4-foot ramp which would go from the edge of the dock up onto the shoreline. The shoreline is not very high off the water, so that should not be an issue. And the docks will have wheels on the far end, so we can draw it out of the lake and just leave the wheels on the shoreline. With drawdown, they would be out of the water.
So they're freestanding docks. They're not floating, they're freestanding.
Okay. And I did have the benefit of walking this property this weekend with you 2 gentlemen and a couple of commissioners. One of the questions that I have is, you know, obviously this is going to have to be accessed through the 30-foot do not touch zone, and there is a vegetated shoreline there. Do you have any plans to encourage people not to just trod all over that vegetation?
Well, there
Like,
is a path. Yeah, there is a path along the shoreline, and there is a path from the street down to roughly where those docks are. So if you're worried about people trotting on things, we could maybe mark areas of do not walk here.
Yeah, I mean-
The areas that we chose, and as you saw them and we talked about there, are areas where basically the shoreline itself is open and it's reasonably open to pull the docks in. There'd be no cutting of any trees or anything like that. There may be some slight brush removal just so people aren't getting scraped or anything like that as they're going onto the docks, but we're trying to pick areas where there is the least impact to the area.
And if I understand correctly, this, I mean, you really kind of expect this would primarily just be used by specific citizens, specific homeowner association, homeowner specific individuals, not by all of the members of the Hickory Hills Association.
But these will be docks leased to private owners, so there will be 2 owners per dock, and only those people should be using those docks. It's not going to be like a marina. It's not a public dock.
Okay. Me speaking for myself, I would want your lease agreements to have some kind of stipulation that they have to use established pathways and can't be trotting over the vegetation there. And I'm just one vote out of the commission, but I would be looking for that. I would be looking for that kind of support and perhaps some do not walk signs that encourage people not to do beeline, straight line kind of movements through those vegetated areas, because I think we all have a shared interest to ensure that the lake is protected and doesn't have any more vegetation removed from the shoreline. But I'll open it to other commissioners.
Just to respond to you, Mary, we certainly could put out stay on the pathways signs in the areas. The other thing that I have seen done, and maybe it would be a good thing to do here, is just apply some wood chips in the areas where we think we'd want people to be walking, so they're not invited to walk in other areas. Maybe it becomes more obvious.
That would be really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I see no problem with that.
Are there questions or comments by other members of the commission?
I have no problem with the proposal as presented.
I echo Mary's comments. I think a simple sign saying stay on path would be great. And the wood chips is also a good suggestion.
Okay, great.
Are there members of the public that have comments or questions? I'm not seeing any hands raised. Okay, so I think I'm looking for a motion for a negative determination and added to the standard order of conditions, the stay on pathway signs and apply wood chips to existing pathways.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Do I have a second?
Second by
Second,
Richard.
I think I'm gonna pick up Chris's second this time. Get him some,
Next time you should make the motion.
Okay, roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
aye.
and I for myself. And that is an approval for this RDA with a negative determination and stay on pathway signs and apply wood chips to pathways to a standard order of conditions. Okay, moving along. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended, and the Town of Lunenburg Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Justin Morgan to replace deteriorating retaining wall, pressure-treated stairs and granite, and replace decking at 701 Rear Reservoir Road. Do we have is it Justin or Justine?
Justine.
Justine, yeah, okay, I think I misread that first. So are you going to take us through this, or do you have a representative that you want to take us through this?
I have a representative, Christopher Coffin.
Okay,
Hi, so what our plan is to do is we have a rotted, like pressure treated wall that's been there for many years, and we just want to take that out and put in the blocks from Graves Concrete. And then have, there's a set of stairs there, also added pressure treated. We wanted to just put in granite steps, so it's all natural. And that's it.
did you happen to have any drawing or anything that you could show us with this? I did.
He's got it, it's on Google Drive. I can set them up.
Oh,
Thank
that'd be awesome. Thank you, Chris.
So let me start with the first one. So I'll put them up, Chris, and you can ask me to move to the next one after you're done commenting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so right there's, so that's the other thing. I did forget about that. I apologize. So what we plan on doing is with the dock, we're gonna just disconnect the dock, move it, put the wall through, put the dock back, and then just re-deck it with composite decking.
Okay, Chris, we lost the picture and are looking at the drive. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so repeat that if you would.
So our plan is, so the wall will go continue through right there where you see that dock. And so what I plan on doing is just disconnecting the dock from where it sits, moving it out just enough to put the blocks in, and then moving the dock back and putting composite decking on top instead of that wood that's rotting. So
Okay.
keeping the existing frame.
Okay, and so the footer that's in the water would stay in the same location, that won't move?
I'm sorry, I didn't get, what'd you say?
The support beam that's in the water, that would stay in the same location, that would not move?
Correct. So all the supports that are there that already go down should be able to stay there. I don't see any rot in them, so it should all be fine.
Okay.
And that's just another angle of the docks, or the dock is really, it's kind of comes at an angle.
And that would all stay the same, same
Correct.
general shape and everything?
Yep, just replacing the decking.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And again, right there, you can see the supports for the dock, that would all stay. And then you actually start to see the wall right there to the right that we're hoping to be able to replace. Then there's the rest of the wall and the stairs that I would like to put in the granite steps.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for pictures.
Yeah, I thought, okay, good.
Okay, and I see that we have a DEP number.
Yep.
I don't see any comments or anything. Any questions or comments by fellow commissioners?
I have a question, Mary. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Go ahead, Bob.
The granite steps, would they be as big as the existing wood and earthen steps, or would they be smaller?
So the granite steps would be replacing the wood steps, but on the paper I submitted, the footprint would be no larger than the current 48 square feet. So we have yet to kind of figure out the size, but they won't be any bigger than what's there. I'm actually hoping they'll be a little smaller, but I can't tell you for certain.
Any other questions, Bob?
No,
Rich Tremley, you had your hand raised?
I did. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we covered a lot of this stuff on the sidewalk, but I just want to review it again. The old timbers that are coming out, there's a plan to dispose of them and take them from the site. Is that true?
That is correct.
And the new wall will be in the same footprint? There won't be any change of grade or anything at all in that area?
That is correct. Yep.
And the last thing, the work, of course, will all be done during drawdown when the water is out?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, I'm all set. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Rich. Do we have any members of the public that have any questions or comment? And I guess, you know, so I was out there this weekend, but I think I just want to add into the public meeting. No trees are going to be affected by this.
No trees will be affected by this. No.
And there's no bushes and no vegetation that are going to be harmed in this or relocated as a result of this.
Nope. Everything is all clear.
Okay. I think I am looking for a movement to, or a motion to approve this NOI with standard order of conditions.
I make a motion to approve the plan as discussed this evening with the standard order of conditions.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote. Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. That's a approval for this notice of intent with a standard order of conditions. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck in your project.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, moving along. Now we're into continued public hearings. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, as amended in the Town of Lunenburg's Wetlands and Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Lunenburg Skate Park, Inc. for the proposed construction of a skate park and drainage basin at 100 Chestnut Street. Do we have the skate park? I see Greg Roy. I believe this one might be yours. Is it, Greg?
Yes, ma'am. Here I am.
All right, why don't you bring us up to date? And the commission has changed a little bit in that Chris St. Germain is joining us. So
Yeah.
maybe just overview what you're doing and the additional information you're bringing to us tonight.
Okay, I actually wanted to start on that front. We did open this hearing, I think in March or April. So I guess my question here, as much as I hate to do this, do we have an issue with a quorum if Mr. St. Germain cannot vote on this because he doesn't have continuity?
That is a great, that's a great question, Greg. Bob, you have your hand raised?
I do. Unfortunately, we don't have a quorum on this issue.
I
Yeah,
think
not a
you're
problem.
absolutely correct.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were gonna say. So I guess I would respectfully, as much as I hate to do this, we're really hoping to get construction under construction here towards the in the September timeframe. But as much as I hate to do it, I guess I'd like to ask for a continuance so that we can get a quorum of 4 voting members.
Okay, I think that is quite a reasonable suggestion. Let's see. So did you want to go to August 16th or September 6th?
Yeah, unless you wanted to hold a special meeting for us next week, we'll take that too. No, I'm just kidding. As soon as it's available, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, we'll shoot for August 16th. Greg.
Great. Thank you very much.
And
I will get that in writing, just so you have it for record.
okay, thank you.
Mary, that may be true of all of our continued public hearings. I'm not positive. It may be true for all our public hearings.
Yeah, it may very well be true, but we got to go through the
Yep.
formality of it.
Yep.
So I'm accepting a motion to continue 100 Chestnut Street Skate Park to August 16th.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
okay. Roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
and I for myself. And that is to approve continuing this hearing to 8/16.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg's Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on a notice of intent by Robert J. Correa for the construction of a garage at 932 Flat Hill Road. Do we have Robert and or his representative here with us tonight?
Yes, James Tatro, I'm here. And
Yeah,
Mr.
and
Korea is here.
Also, yes.
Unfortunately, this started when I was chair, which means that Chris was not a member. And the town attorney has told me repeatedly that even if he had been there at the public hearings, he still couldn't participate And so I make a motion to continue this until August 16th.
Richard will second the motion.
Okay. I think that's unfortunately where we're at. Apologize to the applicants. I don't see any way
Understand.
around it.
Understand. I appreciate the situation. It is what it is.
Yeah, so I'll go for a roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
and I for myself. That's a continuance to
16th.
8/16.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg's Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws. Public hearing on a request for determination of applicability by Michael Mascarelli for tree removal at 131 Island Road. I think we're in exactly the same situation here. Michael Mascarelli, and Bob, you may remember, this was started before July. I think this was a June hearing.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think the first one was with Bob in June. And then I was back on July 5th. And I just to kind of catch everybody up to speed, we had a couple of concerns from that initial meeting. My setback lines were not appropriate. There was a tree that we had some question in the 50-foot buffer. And the concern of some of the commissioners was the loss of canopy with these trees losing them. So on that July 5th meeting, I made a point to address all 3 points. I did fix my setback lines. We looked at that tree in that 50-foot, and it is right on the 50-foot, and it's an oak that's split in two. Right at the base, it breaks off and branches in two. And after having a couple of people look at it, they had a lot of concern about how that bark is splitting there. And I just see in the photo there, that was just the concern of that one tree that we talked about a little bit.
Michael, I'm gonna interrupt you and stop you right there. I think I've seen what you've presented, and I think you've done a good job of addressing the concerns that I remember the commissioners bringing up in the various hearings. But unfortunately, I think we're in the same situation where we don't have a quorum, and therefore we cannot actually have this hearing right now. We'll have to continue it to 8/16 if you're amenable to 8/16.
Yeah, 8/16 is fine.
Okay, I am looking for a motion by my commissioners for a continuance.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote. Rich Tremblay.
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself, and that's a continuance to 8/16 for 131 Island Road.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended in the Town of Lunenburg's Wetlands Protection and Municipal Bylaws. A public hearing on a notice of intent by Larry Coffrin and Marcia Beers for relocation of an existing dock at 205 Sunset Lane. And I think we have their representative here tonight. I don't know if we have the property owners as well, but Seth, we're in the same situation with you. We don't have a quorum to continue
gathered
this
from your-
hearing.
I listened to your prior meeting, so
Yeah.
I will respectfully request a continuance to your 8/16 meeting then.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Thank
I am
you.
looking for a motion from my commissioners. Motion to continue.
Make the motion to continue to August 16th.
Second. Who's
I'll second.
seconding? Roll call vote, Bob Pease,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself. And that is approval to continue this hearing on 8/16.
See you in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Thank you for your patience. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131 and Section 40 as amended in the Town of Lunenburg's Wetland Protection and Municipal Bylaws, a public hearing on an amended order of conditions by Nicholas Eaton for repair and construction of an existing deck at 441 Townsend Harbor Road. Do we have Nicholas and or his representative here with us tonight? Not see him. Okay, we would be in the same situation with having to continue. Since the representative's not here, do we need to vote to continue the hearing?
I think, yes, we need to vote to continue the hearing.
Then I'll accept a motion to continue.
I motion we continue this hearing until August 16th.
Okay, continue. And who
Second.
seconds that? Okay, Chris, thank you. Roll call vote, Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
and I for myself, and that is continue 441 Townsend Harbor Road to a hearing scheduled for 8/16. Okay, that concludes all of our continued public hearings. Still have a lot of people on the call tonight. I'll just go through the new. I think I just want to hear from some of the folks that are still on the hearing or on the call, if they are here for enforcement violations or something other.
I'm here for a certificate of compliance.
Okay,
And I'm here to get a discharge on an old order of conditions. This is Nat Dutton.
okay,
And I'm here for the Sean Kelly estate.
okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so I think I'll go shift, we're going to shuffle up the order of the agenda. We'll still cover everything on the agenda, but just in the being observant of people's time, we'll go to administrative determinations and certificates of compliance. Now, Bob, how would we proceed with this when we don't actually have somebody from the office here to confirm the site walk and the closure of these orders of condition?
I don't think we can.
I don't think we can either.
I don't think we can. Absent, some kind of, if we had a written report from somebody and, from Adam Burney or somebody, recommending that we issued a certificate of compliance. If we look in the meeting drive, does it have any such thing? I don't think it does.
On the order of condition for 54 Pine Acres Road, we do have a letter that was generated by Ross Associates. I think Brandon from Ross Associates is actually here. He walked the property. This is from almost 30 years ago. This order of conditions. It was never discharged.
Yeah, this is Brandon Ducharme. That's one of the things I'm here for. It's an old order of conditions that we're just looking to clean up some paperwork.
I found the letter and I was just reading through it. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate that it's old, but the the process requires that we have our independent representative go and confirm and witness it. Hopefully it's a short thing to have happen, but I don't think that we can close it. We'll have to have somebody from our office, Adam, or a representative from the town go and verify that. I'll talk to Adam Bernie tomorrow and see if we can get somebody out there to look at this and provide us some written documentation that they confirm what's represented in the letter.
I agree that that's necessary. I don't think we can take any action on certificates of compliance tonight.
If I may, on the 43 Summer Street project, I did go out on the property with Anna Petrie, who was your conservation administrator as of a month or two ago. I don't know if she gave you anything in writing from that, but she did view the property with me. I don't know what you have for documentation, but I just wanted to tell you.
Well, let me do a search of the Google Drive and see if anything comes up.
Thank you.
Same thing on 54 Pine Acre, because I know she had looked at this, reviewed it, and we had it ready for the last meeting that we were unable to hold.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating.
I'm seeing documents in the 17, July 17th folder, but I can't open the files. They look empty to me. I don't know if I'm using the wrong. COC.
I had run into the same challenge, Chris.
But I see a COC for both those addresses.
Well, I mean, it may be, and it may be short work for Adam too, if Anna has some written documentation that's there in the office that would mean he doesn't have to actually go out and do a site walk. But yeah, I don't think we can close. And I think where we are right now, I think I'm just going to do a straw poll of my conservation commissioners to see if anybody, to see that we agree, or get on record if anybody disagrees with needing some type of written report from our office on behalf of the town, an impartial witness. Bob, you've already stated that you agree we need to have something impartial from the town. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I agree.
Rich Tremblay?
Just one question. Some of the order of conditions required that the engineer go back out and do a drawing and confirm that things were done. Would that change circumstances at all?
I don't think that. I don't think that it would. I think we would need to have both. I think we would need to have some verification from the town that's impartial and not a vested interest in the property, just to ensure that we were observing due diligence.
If I could weigh in here, typically what happens, you have to read the actual order of conditions that went with that NOI. But quite often what it says, in order to close it out, you need a letter from the engineer or from an engineer, that says that everything was done in compliance. And then, you need something from your staff person that says, oh, I went out and looked at it and everything's all buttoned up. And, and it all looks good, everything's stabilized. And you put those two things together and then you vote. In the past, we had some commissioners who want to go out and see for themselves. I think that's silly. Or I think that's not required. I think we can certainly, rely on a letter from a professional engineer and from a note from our staff But in the past, we would be looking for both, so, that's our past practice.
That's our past practice and that's what we should do.
Okay, then we're not, I guess I'm gonna accept a formal motion now to continue all of these certificates of compliance and administrative determinations to 8/16. Do I have a motion?
With all due respect, Madam Chair, I think you can just table them. I don't think we need a motion, but if you really
Okay.
want one, I'll make one.
No, I'm happy to table it. I'm still learning, so I'm happy to table
Yeah.
it to 8/16. I apologize to the people that are on the phone tonight on behalf of the commission, and we will see you on 8/16. In the interim, I will talk to Adam in the office and see about getting that office verification closed by the time you show up with us here again on the 16th. Okay, now I think we should go back to the Sean Kelly estate topic, which is where we still have is it Kelly or Lisa that's on the call for that?
It's Lisa.
Lisa. Thank you.
I would just like to make a note that his last name is spelt wrong. It's Kelley.
Lley. Okay, thank you for that. Apologies to you on behalf of the commission. We're a little bit shorthanded in the office right now, and it's being held together by baling wire and duct tape.
No
Not
problem.
even a full roll of duct tape.
Okay.
So I think the request before, why don't you go over the request before us tonight?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, actually, I'm just on to hear. My understanding is from the lawyer for the estate that you just have to approve the paperwork that was sent to the town's lawyer, is what I understand. You just have to approve saying you want the money.
Oh,
Actually, that's not exactly right. I'd be happy to talk about this, Mary.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
As people may or may not know, Sean Kelly was an avid outdoorsman. I used to run into him out on the Lodgetown Forest from time to time doing trail work when I was out there mountain biking. And he left his the net proceeds of his liquidated estate to the Lunenburg Conservation Commission. And we received 2 documents and now 3, I think, from the lawyer handling the state, saying, this is what it shows that the Lunenburg Conservation Commission would get. And if you take and you look at it, it shows, I asked for an additional document which showed what the initial value of the assets of the estate were. And then they sent us a document that showed additional documents that showed, well, these were the expenses of the estate. And these were the changes in values of the initial estate. And it all came down to, the Conservation Commission is going to get a little north of $800,000 to be used, whatever the exact wording is in Sean's will. I believe it was for the maintenance and or improvement or expansion or something like that, something words to that effect, of conservation lands in Lunenburg. And so the ask tonight is they have to take and present this to a probate judge. And, since we are the primary beneficiaries of Sean Kelly's estate, the ask is, can we sign this document that says that we're good with this inventory and we don't object? We're not going to file some objection after the fact and challenge the will. and so we're looking for a vote tonight. I'd have to go back and look at the document. I probably could do that real quick to see, why don't I do that? Sorry for the delay. I don't know whether we need an authorized representative to sign or whether we need a quorum of the, let's see. Google Drive, Conservation Commission, budget, Sean Kelly. It's a petition for order of settlement. And it needs to be signed by darn to find out. But anyway, we're looking for a vote to authorize whoever needs to sign it. Here, let's see this. Here it is. I found it. We're asked to sign an assent and waiver of notice. And so I guess we could authorize someone. I'd be happy to volunteer, or Mary could do it, to sign under the penalties of perjury that we're going to renounce. We're going to assent to the petition of order to complete settlement in first and final account. And the amount of money we would actually get is
$869,830.41.
whatever she said.
Thank
It
you.
actually will be probably a little bit more because we are holding out $3,000 because he will owe taxes on the interest of his savings accounts, and I will have to pay an accountant to do his taxes next year. But as the money sits in the account, it has earned an additional almost $1,000 this past month. So it'll be at least $870,000.
So that's what we're looking for. And so there's only one space in the signature line. Mary, if you want to sign it, I don't want to step on any toes.
No, I actually, Bob, I appreciate you volunteering to do it. You've got a lot more bandwidth during the day generally than I do. I stayed pretty tied to my my job that pays the bill. So I would appreciate you signing this. I think we need to vote to approve it.
Absolutely.
And then
absolutely. So I guess I'd appreciate it if someone, I don't want to make the motion authorizing myself. I'd appreciate someone make a motion authorizing me to approve signing this probate document.
I make a motion to authorize Bob to sign the probate document in the Tom Kelly estate.
A second.
okay, roll call vote. Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself. And that's approval to sign the probate document on behalf of Conservation Commission.
All right, so I assume they are gonna need a liquid signature, but I'll find out from Adam Costa or actually I'll probably reach out to the lawyer.
Yes, Jelinas and Ward in Leominster.
Yeah,
And
I'll
then-
reach out
and
to the
it'll-
lawyer to find out exactly, do they need a liquid signature? Can I sign it digitally, so on and so forth, so.
Right, and then it goes to the probate, and as soon as it's approved through the court system, then I will be writing you a check.
Super.
Thank you, Lisa.
I just have one thing, and this is not as his executor, this is as his big sister. If
Yeah.
you should decide to purchase a piece of land, the family would love to have his name on it if you decide to do that.
And it would be so appropriate.
Mm.
And that certainly was my thought process, so.
I appreciate that. I know you put the money to good use.
We certainly will do that.
Lisa, I didn't, your last name doesn't show up on
Yeah,
the,
it's Pollock, Pollock.
Pollock.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. And we do really appreciate, I'm an avid outdoors woman. As I know, most of my fellow commissioners are similarly avid about the outdoors, and the opportunities that this estate and gift provides Conservation Commission is absolutely appreciated. So thank you so much.
you're very welcome. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to go through all the rigmarole of the rest of our business topics, and we'll decide as we go along what we want to take on for tonight, and what we want to table to a time when we have more conservation commissioners with us. Are there any updates on the timber rights fund, Bob?
None whatsoever. I'm expecting that all of those heavy rains have delayed the harvest of the timber on the
Reno property?
Reno property. Thank you for helping this old man with his word search. Because he was planning to do it in July because he thought it would be dried out in July. Well, nothing's dried out right now, so no updates.
Okay. Definition of rivers was kind of a techie talk that I had queued up. I'd like to table that until we have Rich Bursch here. I just thought it'd be something that Rich and I kind of talk a lot about what happens, how the definitions of the Wetlands Protection Act actually come into our day-to-day practices. But it'd be more appropriate if he was here as our subject matter expert. Invasive species initiatives. I had also put that on the agenda for tonight. But I think I'm going to table that to a time when Mike LaRouche is with us. He's been working with the pollinator habitat, and there's somebody, Christina, the pollinator habitat, that seems to be very, very interested in the pollinator habitat coming up with a invasive species mitigation strategy and comprehensive plan, and then partnering with other organizations to do something similar. I'll let Mike talk to that. Okay, so 208 Northfield Road, the Hickory Hills well has been appealed by the property owners, the Woodlands Trust. And there will be a site walk on, let me just look here at my calendar, on August 10th. So that is next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. I'm not able to attend. Rich Bursch is not able to attend. He and I chaired the hearing, and he vice chaired with me, and actually did a lot of legwork helping me run those meetings. I would like to have a conservation commissioner there if we can. I don't. You cannot or can?
I can.
Oh, you can. Oh, that's excellent. So you think you can get away during the middle of a work day?
Yeah, Thursdays and Fridays I work from home, so I can absolutely get away. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful, Chris. I would really appreciate that. Rich, is there any opportunity for you to go on that walk, or are you tied up during that time frame?
Thursday is usually a busy day. I didn't want to commit, but I will do my best to be there and meet you, Chris, okay?
Sure.
I appreciate it. I'll reach out separately to Mike and see if there's any way that he can swing it, and I'll socialize that to with you guys. And Bob, I'm leaving you out of the dialogue because you're recused from the dialogue. But yeah, Rich, I'll let you know if Mike can attend, and maybe that takes a little bit of the pressure off for you doing any unnatural acts.
Okay, fair enough. Do we know if the order of conditions have been issued?
Yeah, the letter and the order of conditions were issued, but because of the appeal, DEP now they've accepted the appeal and they've issued a letter to the Conservation Commission and to the applicant, the Water District, not start any work until after the appeal has come to a determination about the appeal.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you all on that. Update on new kiosk and the reservation area signs, conservation area signs. Bob, I think you had this one. You had
I
sponsored that
did.
on the agenda.
So, I don't know if people are aware, but Lynn Mann, who lives over by Rob's Hill on Burridge Street, had made all of the area name signs that are on all the kiosks around town.
Those are beautiful.
And I asked her to make 6 more. She made 2 new Cowdrey because 2 of the existing 3 Cowdrey signs left out the E between the R and the Y at the end. And then I asked her to make 4 more because the Snow Riders proposed to put up 4 new kiosks at some point in the future. And when those new kiosks go up, the signs will be right there ready to go on and right when they go up. So so that's all set.
Excellent. Thank you.
And well, not thank you to me, thank you to Lynn. And then her husband helps. She does most of the work, and then her husband applies paint and polyurethane and stuff like that.
Those signs are absolutely beautiful, though. I smile every time I see them.
And they also made a sign for the entrance to Hunting Hill. When you go up to the end of Hunting Hill, it's not clear. Lots of people start down the wrong driveway.
Oh, right, yeah.
And they put a sign, they made a sign, and I believe he's already put it up right out by the road, saying this is the entrance to Hunting Hill.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
It's a beautiful sign. He sent me a picture.
Very nice.
And then also, with all of this rain, the husband, I think it's Bruce Mann. I'm gonna be embarrassed if I got the wrong name now. Went out and they spent a lot of time on Rob's Hill, which is right across the street from where they live. And they spent a lot of time. He took a lot of pictures of mushrooms. And he made a sign that said, "These are all the mushrooms that are on Rob's Hill. Can you find them all?" And and he had the sign printed. He asked me where I had the "You Are Here" map signs made, and he had it printed and he'd like to put it up. And I said I would bring it up tonight, looking for approval, for people, for him to put it up, possibly. Right now we have 2 kiosks. We could pay for that sign for near all 3 kiosks. But at any rate, I think it's a fine idea. Happy to entertain any discussion about it.
I love mushrooms, and I mean that's like the fungi are just going nuts right about now, and I think it's super cool. I myself am out taking pictures of all kinds of mushrooms coming up all over the place. That being said, you have to put some kind of disclaimer about mushrooms can be dangerous and fatal.
That,
If we're encouraging people to look for mushrooms, and kids presumably also consuming that information.
maybe I should ask, our town council about such a disclaimer.
Yeah. What were you
About
gonna
the-
say, Chris?
Yeah, about the kiosk, are you suggesting putting up a kiosk just for the mushrooms or attaching it to the existing kiosk? I'm not.
Just sticking it on the side of the existing kiosk.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I was hoping you were saying. I like the idea. Yeah, I do. I think this day and age, though, you might have to consider the disclaimer.
Yeah.
I was out walking this weekend in the Lanetown Forest and ran into some foragers who were harvesting mushrooms, and I was really excited about it because, you know, here I have two knowledgeable mushroom people, and I started peppering them with questions. So they don't know me from anybody. I'm just, you know, somebody, a crazy enthusiastic person walking through the woods with my dog, suddenly accosting them with a bunch of questions. And then after I kind of got over my euphoria and kind of thought for a minute, hey, they don't know me. I introduced myself, right, and let them know I was, you know, chair of the Conservation Commission, and that, you know, I was glad they were out in the conservation land and taking advantage of the trails, et cetera, et cetera. And then offered to send them maps to all the places where I've seen interesting mushrooms. Because, you know, I go and walk, you know, with my dog Clyde. It's too wet for Bonnie. She's a princess. But Clyde and I have been out taking pictures of all kinds of mushrooms. And I've seen some that I think might be edible. And I don't know, I'm not an expert. I told them that. But I sent them, you know, I sent them whatever I had. They said, oh, yeah, that'd be great. They gave me their contact information. And I sent it. And then I thought for a minute and I went, you know what? Maybe I need to send them a follow-up mail that says, you know, in writing, because I told them verbally, I'm not a mushroom expert, right? And I would never go on my own advice about whether something was edible or identified properly or not. But I thought, you know, I sent them that stuff under a government, you know, Lunenburg.gov email. Maybe I should follow up and send them something that includes that disclaimer in writing. And that's the reason why, Bob, you know, honestly, that was a walk I had this weekend, a thought I had yesterday, and that's why I was thinking about that in relationship to the mushroom sign opportunity. So if you would ask the, you know, the appropriate resources and the town
I will.
council, I would appreciate it, and I would appreciate hearing whatever they have to say.
All right.
There are some cool mushrooms coming up.
Yes, there are.
Funding for title searches. I think you also sponsored that one, Bob.
I did. And so once upon a time, the town manager sent an email, which I interpreted to mean that there was some small hope that they would fund title searches for these three properties. For the new members, these are three properties that no one has paid taxes on in over 30 years, or 40 years, and 50 years, or 60 years. And I think all three of these properties, I'd like to see the Conservation Commission acquire them using the tax title process. So over a year ago, the Conservation Commission took a vote saying we wanted to acquire them with the tax title process. And over a year ago, I sent a letter to the tax collector saying, you know, like, we want to acquire these through the tax title process. And so then just recently I sent a letter following up, and the tax collector said, oh, you need a title search before you can do that. And which annoyed me to no end. It's like, how come you didn't tell me that a year ago? So we took, and I asked, you know, for the title search, and I quickly found out that the town manager is not going to fund title searches. And she suggested that we might, because there's not enough money in the legal account, it's not covered by our standard agreement with the town attorney. And so she suggested that we go to the town meeting and asked for an increase in the appropriation, for legal expenses. What I'm advocating is that we wait until, we have, more money in the timber rights account, or we've gotten the Sean Kelly a check and we fund them from our own, from our own funds.
I
And
think
so that-
I think that's a great idea. Ed would, further recommend that as part of the advice that we're getting from that funding, that we get a step-by-step execution plan on
Yeah.
how to go about doing this so that we're not having to go play 20 questions.
Yeah, and again, I'm a little annoyed with the town manager because I said I wanted to go and talk with our tax attorney. The attorney who advises the tax collector, because that's a different attorney.
Mhm.
And 2 years ago, she told me, oh, yes, that's no problem. I'd be happy to let you talk with him. And then when I did it recently, she said, oh, no, I don't think that's necessary. See what you've heard from the, look at what you got from the tax collector, which, to me, the whole reason I want to talk with the town attorney is I don't feel that the information I've gotten from the tax collector has been that helpful. So, but anyway, it's neither here nor there. It is what it is, but what Mary called up, you can see there's two parcels here. There's a parcel that goes right.
This is
next
one of
to-
them, right?
Yeah, but we own two of these rear parcels here. I think that one.
Yeah.
That's owned, and I think the one next to it, we own.
No, this one.
No, there's another one back there that okay, that one we own.
Yeah.
And so, so
these
then if we
two-
get the right of way that goes down next to Ken Chenis's house, that would give us access to those two parcels in the rear. And then this other parcel that goes over, that's a little to the left of where your cursor is now, little more, little up, that little narrow thing, that thing
This
there,
one.
click on that. That's the old Old Turnpike Road. If we were to acquire that in addition, that gives us a lot of access. That expands our access, and because then way in the back, there's an additional parcel that we own. If you scroll down a little.
This one.
That one, we own that parcel. And we'd be getting closer, to getting access to that parcel, because right now that parcel's landlocked and no one can get to it. And so I'm interested, so then I'd be interested to approach this, Raymond Farrer and the Scott Goddard about, wouldn't you like to sell us these landlocked parcels, which are of almost no value to you, or even donate them to us and take a tax write-off, which other people have done.
Where, the reason why I was looking at this, Bob, is it says 731 Page Street, and I didn't see 731. I see 721. Is it a typo? Do you happen to know if it's correct
What?
or not?
Well,
On the-
what's, if you click on this thing, if you click on the little road in between, what's that come out as? Not
This?
there, go, click
Oh,
on the thing right
this.
underneath the trail.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
Seven,
Okay, yeah.
That's the piece of land I'd want to acquire by tax title.
Yeah.
See, if you click on that, that's Ken Chenis. I know that, I don't know if that's Ken Chenis. I think the other one.
That's Ken's.
Yeah, that's Ken.
Not for
Well, let me click on it just a minute. There we go. There we go. Okay.
See, and so that would give us direct access to those two rear parcels that we already own. And it will get us closer to access, to the parcel in the back. And so to me, we should be going full bore after those parcels, by tax title.
Yeah.
Which I've been trying to do for 2 years with no result. But I'm a persistent son of a gun, and I'm not gonna give up till we get it.
Scott Gardner just recently bought that property. He won't be donating it. He was trying to make some.
Oh, this one?
No, the Scott Gardner, oh yeah, that one, sorry, yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
he also owns this one too,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, And yeah, I don't know why, but he thought he could actually, I think he was hoping that somebody would, make him an offer. He
Well, then that presumably means he's probably going after this aggressively as well, if those people are still, with us.
Yeah, well, we have to buy that one, or if he ever connects with, if ever he connects with Connie's property, then he'd have a way in, so we have to make sure that never happens. Buying Ferrara's property would prevent him from ever making that connection.
Well, if and when, the commission might be in a position to do that a year from now.
Do you, and why do you think a year, Bob? You think
Well,
it'll take us
because
that long?
we would have either some substantial funds in our timber rights fund, or we would have the Sean Kelly estate.
Okay, so you think the rest of the proceedings with the court judge and whatnot might take a year to resolve?
No, I don't think that'll take a year. But I think we're
Okay.
clearly in a year from now, we'll have the Sean Kelly estate stuff, so.
Yeah,
I think we'll have it in months, not year, not a
that's
year.
what I was kind of thinking, is it might
Yeah.
be months now.
Yeah.
When he first passed away, and you
Yeah.
were saying a year, I thought it made a lot of sense, but that kind of gets us to
Yeah.
today. So yeah, it would be nice to be able to act on that, because there, as you know, there are a lot of trails back in this area. And
Yeah,
it would be nice if we secured public access into that area. Okay. Very good. I was just looking through. I don't think we have any updates on encroachment issues.
well, I would use this as an opportunity to say that I reached out on behalf of Mary and myself to the town manager and Michael Ray Jeffries, asking to be on the agenda of a selectmen's meeting, a select board meeting, to discuss three things. One, that authorization of litigation to go after the Chase Road property, where they bought the land full knowing that the shed behind it was not on their property and that they were responsible to move it. Two, so Mary could do a grand announcement of our grant that she worked so hard on. And three, so we could talk about the need for more support from the office in the absence for this volunteer commission, in the absence of any conservation administrator. So I would just, and he offered us actually last night, neither one of us could do it. And now he offered us the 15th. I haven't responded to the 15th. A, I haven't discussed it with Mary, and B, I got to find out for my grandson when his regatta is in Rhode Island, because after all, there are priorities. So
yeah, of course. I should be available on the 15th, Bob. So you can cross
I'm
off that
hoping
one.
that we can both go.
Yeah.
Hope we can find a time where we can both go, Mary. Not that you couldn't do it all by yourself and do a magnificent job. But anyway.
I would appreciate being there with my wingman. So.
All right. Well, there you go.
Bob, one question for you. I know the encroachments you've been doing by batch. Wasn't there another batch of
we got one last batch after we finish this batch.
Okay.
And they include some ticky-tack stuff, and then there is a driveway that encroaches on the northwest town forest that actually is from a house that's in Townsend, which is going to be a tragic story, but it's a story that's got to play out. So anyway,
is it premature to talk about what if scenarios for that?
I think it's premature. It's like, let's let the town attorney send them a letter and see what they respond and go from there. But I can tell you
Okay.
that when it was first noticed by Brandon Kibbe, 2 or 3 years ago, they called in, there was meetings where Adam Burney met with the building inspector and the zoning agent from Townsend, and they said, oh, yep, it's not on their land, it's on conservation land.
Mhm.
And nothing happened with it at that time. And so
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's a little bit on conservation land. It looks like
it's
it's,
definitely on conservation land.
Is this a
Yeah.
driveway?
It's a drive.
yeah,
Oh, boy.
It's gonna be a tragic story for the people involved, so.
Oh, boy.
Any rate,
okay.
but
Yeah.
that'll be in the last, and at that point, unless we find new ones, we will have gone through our entire list of, initially I found like, but back then I also didn't have near map. It'd be interesting to go back and redo it using near map. I was
Oh,
just,
right.
I was using, and by the way, Chris, if you haven't gotten access to near map, we should get it for you.
Yeah, I was just making that note.
Um,
Is it spelled the way it sounds? NEAR map?
near map, yeah.
Yeah, but I think Adam has to send a request to give you access at your Lunenburg mass.gov
I think it's
account.
actually, the IT guy, Dan Nadarsky.
Do you have Dan's contact info, Bob? Could you shoot him a note and
Yeah,
and make that
I'll
request?
do that right now.
Awesome.
Oh, no, I won't do it right now. I'm writing myself a note to do it right now.
Okay. Yeah, that would be awesome. Chris, you'll love near map. It's got an inventory of, I think, 5 years worth of satellite imagery.
Wow.
And most of the time, I think it's more than one satellite image a year.
Wow, that's cool.
It
Yeah,
is
I would
really
like
cool.
that. Yeah.
And it's better resolution than the stuff you get,
Free. Yeah.
free.
Cool. Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Okay. That's anything else on encroachment issues?
Nope.
Hollis Road residents, I'm going to skip that because Mike LaRouche is not here to give us
And
any
by the way,
updates.
Mike LaRouche sent me several emails about how he was trying to get in, but couldn't starting at around 8 o'clock. I sent him all the information and he kept saying it didn't work for him. So I don't know what happened here.
I wonder what happened.
That's too
That's
bad. 'Cause
frustrating.
We could have heard those hearings if he'd been here.
Yeah, and I know that's frustrating on his side too. If he's
Yeah.
there, he's prioritized being available for the hearings and then can't get in.
So about that situation we had tonight, was there anything I could have done to?
Absolutely nothing.
No.
It's very
It's the
frustrating. Chris.
process.
There's absolutely nothing you can do.
Okay, so I couldn't read back minutes or watch the videos to
No.
get, okay.
No,
You could have if you had been a commissioned member of the group
Oh,
when those were originally held, but since
Okay.
you weren't commissioned then,
all
there's
right.
no latitude for it.
Okay,
and Chris, you can only do that for one public hearing. If you miss more than one public hearing, you can only, if you miss one public hearing, you can go back, review the minutes or watch the meeting or both and fill out this thing called a Mullins form that says that you reviewed the minutes and you're prepared to vote. If you miss more than one hearing, you can't do that.
Hmm.
You can only miss one hearing and still participate.
okay.
I have a
Yeah.
question about that, Bob.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chris. Okay, but Chris, you were talking to him. Did you have another question for him? I should let you finish first.
No, that's it.
Okay. So Bob, when you say you can miss one hearing, I understand a meeting is a meeting and a meeting is multiple hearings. So if we were, for example, doing, I a hearing on, I'm just gonna pick, 100 Whiting Street, and there had been a series of 3 hearings, and I missed only one of those, I could do a Mullins for that one.
Correct?
Okay. If, yeah, I think, but so I guess if I had heard the first one, but for whatever reason had to be absent for the rest of that meeting, but it still attended the particular hearing, I would still be able to participate in the third and
Absolutely.
final hearing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And-
it really is about each individual hearing for a
It is.
specific address and project.
It is, and
Okay.
the hearing has to actually be opened. You know, like those 5 hearings that we continued tonight, those were not heard tonight. The fact that someone wasn't here for that is irrelevant, because those
Okay.
hearings didn't happen.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know, because, these hearings kind of, as they're continued, they kind of hopscotch, right? They're not always sequential, sometimes for various reasons, like tonight, couldn't host a quorum for them, or other times when the, applicants maybe weren't prepared or had a dependency that kept them from being able to, participate. We end up with a lot of different hearings that are heard over various dates and not always sequential. So
Yep.
I had that question in my mind about how that Mullins rule worked, and you answered it. Thank you.
Yep.
Is there anything that I have overlooked in the agenda that any member of the commission wanted to bring up tonight? Oh, I know there's one thing I wanted to bring up tonight.
Well, I got a couple of things.
Okay.
Number one, I heard finally from Bill, that DPW, Bill Bernard,
Yeah.
that, Dan Proctor's gonna do the driveway, access up on Howard Street.
That's Table Rock Properties doing
the
the
Table Rock
Howard Street.
property.
Yeah.
Number two,
Did he have a date on it or not yet?
not yet, but it's like scheduled. Dan Proctor went up and looked at it, and he's scheduled. It could be it's already done now, and I don't know. I haven't gone up to look lately, but
I'll be by there this week. I'll shoot you a note.
yep. Two, Adam Burney referred to me a complaint about siltation coming out of the O'Brien property down towards Townsend Harbor Road. Somebody submitted pictures of siltation, and I'm following up on that. Number three, Adam has issued 3 emergency certifications this week. He admitted he issued a emergency certification for a tree that was split and threatening a structure on Townsend Harbor Road. He issued an emergency certification for Matt Proctor to repair the dam spillway on the pond that is north of Whiting Street on the Pearl Brook.
I think it was like 150 White Street, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's owned by Alan Foster. All those heavy rains. He had the riverbank just below the dam was reinforced, with all these big boulders. All those torrential rains, or we got 3 inches in an hour. Tore the boulders out. So he wants to have so Matt's going to put the boulders, put new boulders back and concrete them in, before we get another torrential rain, and
I'll just mention, Bob, that is down gradient from that parcel that we were talking about in connection to 46 Maple Parkway earlier tonight.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that it is down gradient of that. That's up gradient of that. I think you may well be right. You may be
I'm
right.
pretty certain I'm right. The back end of that parcel abuts
You're right. Yep.
yeah, the the place that had been kind of clear cut, that is also impacting 46 Maple Parkway.
And then he also issued emergency certification. DPW is gonna put a berm along the edge of the road by someplace on Hemlock Drive where the water coming off of the road is going into somebody's cellar.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
So, I spoke with, Allison, you know, she's trying to catch up. She's gonna try to do the minutes of our meetings. On her,
You said Allison, did you mean Ashley?
I meant Ashley.
Okay,
Thank you. I meant Ashley. I spoke with our new office assistant. And she's gonna try and do the minutes from home, you know, get, you know, for pay.
oh, excellent.
But she's, you know, right now we were behind 4 minute meetings. We're now behind 5 meetings. She's been working on the first meeting. She spent about 3 hours on it and she's less than halfway done.
Wow.
So I'm fully prepared. When we do go talk to the selectmen about you got to get more resources than this. This is not going to work.
Yeah.
Or what I said to Ashley was, you know, if this isn't working for you, you know, if you can't devote the time to it that it needs, you know, please let me know so I can go back to the well.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, Adam Burney sent an email earlier today about there's an old bill from Home Depot for, I think, for the plywood that Mike used to repair the shed up there on Hollis Road.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be paid, and he's looking for authorization to increase that purchase order so that bill can get paid. And I'd have to look at the email to see what the amount
I
was.
found it. It's 225.
So I'm looking, so I'd like to make a motion that we increase the amount of that purchase order by $225. So that bill can get paid.
So moved.
No, I made that motion, Mary. You
Okay,
just
then I
sec-
second it.
All right, be that way.
Oh, roll call vote. Chris St. Germain,
Aye.
Rich Tremblay,
Aye.
Bob Pease,
Aye.
and I for myself.
I for myself. And I would just mention that, you know, Mary was telling me she works about 60 hours a week for her day job. And I'm retired and I'm trying to do my very level best to help her out by doing a lot of the stuff with interactions with, you know, that the chairman does. And it's not my intention to step on anybody's toes. I'm just trying to be helpful. And if anybody, you know, thinks I'm out of line, you know, please say so, but I'm just trying to be helpful because
I couldn't see anybody having problems with you stepping in and helping, Bob.
all right, well.
Well, let's talk about this for a minute. So I also really appreciate everything that that Bob is doing here to kind of keep the wheels on the bus for the Conservation Commission operations. And right now it's been very challenging for me because I'm a new commissioner. I'm also a brandy new chair. And the office is under a lot of stress because we are budgeted for a full-time head and a part-time head. Even when we had Anna in the office as a full-time head, the last couple of months, she didn't have a part-time resource, so she was falling behind. Now we have the part-time resource has been backfilled and Anna has gone off to a better job, right? So now we're missing the full-time resource. And my understanding, and I'm happy to be the Conservation Commission chair and flattered that people offered to provide me the opportunity. But my understanding of my job here is to run a compliant meeting. And it's my understanding is that it's the role of the office and the office personnel to handle the, issues and questions coming in from members of the public, to handle the complaints coming in from members of the public, and then to do some filtering and then, propose to me what we want to have on the agenda and not have on the agenda with regard to handling those types of things, to handle, these concerns that have been coming in from, members of the public with very valid concerns, like we heard from Maple Parkway tonight, from Matt Proctor earlier this week about, the spillway dam. Anyway, it's my understanding that it is not my role to be frontline for those activities. And Bob, that's consistent with your expectations as well, yeah?
Absolutely, that's absolutely consistent.
Okay.
Your job is to run the meeting and do the agenda.
Okay.
And anything else is over and above. And when I was chair, I would probably go to the office at least twice a week, just to chat. But that was voluntary. It's not part of the role. It's not part of the role.
Okay. So then, moving forward, those types of requests that come in, I'm proposing to just push them back to Adam and maybe CC you so that you have the opportunity to opt in and do legwork if you want to, but
Super.
not give any misunderstanding to Adam that we expect that the office would be handling those tasks.
Did you really mean to say that? That it would not give Adam the impression that we would expect the office to?
I probably didn't mean to say, I probably meant, what I meant to say was not give him any misunderstanding that we think the commission should be handling those tasks. We
That's
expect
what I
the
thought
office
you
to be
meant to say,
handling
and
that.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Because I have been concerned because I've been getting, since assuming this role, and particularly since Anna's left, I've been getting, 2 or 3 emails a week, asking for, somebody from the commission to go walk and look or contact so-and-so. I've been getting, people calling me, asking for this, that, or the other thing, right? That they would expect the commission to give them advice on. And I've been getting Facebook requests too. And one of the things that I had said, and I do care about, is that members of the public that are doing the right thing and asking questions and want to get information about how to do the right thing, is that the Office of the Conservation Commission support them. I'm interested in them getting support, but I don't have the ability to prioritize this volunteer work over my day job.
Well put.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And thanks for confirming, Bob, my expectations in this role, and we'll march forward and address any other things that come up as they come up.
And Mary, I just make an offer. If you'd like me to reach out to Adam Burney about, we need something from the office about certificates of compliance, I'd be happy to do that. Or if you want to do it, that's fine too.
Oh, you know what? I think in this case, I will, I'll flex a little bit, and I will send him an email in the morning and let him
Okay.
know that. But thank you, Bob.
All right.
Okay. Is there anything else that people wanted to cover tonight?
Yeah, I have something I'd like to ask the group, ask the commission. The new houses by my house on Flood Hill, the old Kimball Orchard, they built a retaining pond, a small one, and the developer filled it with perennials and mulch, bark mulch, which is not the way you're supposed to use those retention ponds. It should be like, water plants and, something else. So is that something that falls under us?
I
mean-
believe that falls under planning.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
I would start with Adam Bernie.
Okay.
You
But I
know,
could
I
be-
noticed that myself and I had wondered about it.
Mm.
And you think, Bob, you think Adam Bernie's the place to start?
That's the place I would start, although we do have the chairman of the Stormwater Commission here. I
Yeah,
mean, he may
I
know,
was kind of wondering that myself.
he may know a lot more about this than me.
Is this the
Yeah.
area that's by the HOA development up there?
Yeah, so it's actually, you can see it better on Watt. It's between the newest driveway and an existing house.
It's here, isn't it?
Yeah, a little further down, Mary, a little further down towards where you're, there's let's see.
Because
Where-
this
where
is,
it actually says-
those new houses are right in
Yeah,
here,
but-
right?
Yeah, but follow Watt Street down towards Page. Keep going, keep going, keep going. But going the wrong way. Go towards
Oh,
Page.
this way.
Right
Okay,
here,
yeah.
yeah, right there, right
Yeah.
there, right there. So there's a retaining pond just in that area. And like I said, they filled it with perennials and bark mulch, and that's not how a retaining pond's supposed to work.
Oh, that's funny, because I actually saw one, I think that the one I'm thinking of is over on Holman Street. There's some properties at Holman and Northfield
Mm.
that have done a similar thing in the water gardens that they proposed, where it's mulch and perennials.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what kind of effect it has on them, but I imagine they won't perform as well as they could.
I'll be interested to hear what Adam tells you, though,
Mm.
because it may have a bearing on, I may similarly call him, if there's a concern about it, for those ones up on Holman and Northfield Road.
Okay.
Chris, this might be a different one, but we are aware of an issue with one that's borders Flat Hill. They built it, they've never maintained it, and now it causes water.
Oh, yeah,
all
that's
over
this one
Flat
right
Hill.
here.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
We're working with them, with the HOA right now,
right.
and the town. They need to correct what's going on there.
Yeah, that's a different one.
You may
Yes.
have another issue that I.
This one's brand new, Rich. This is it's brand new because it has to do with those houses they built in the orchard. So it's
Yeah, here.
it's not even a year old.
Okay.
But
yeah,
it
I'm not
certainly
aware of that.
it certainly won't help any of the water drainage issues that are coming down Watt
Yeah.
and Flat Hill,
Yeah,
adding more here.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you.
There are no other comments or updates. I think I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I motion to adjourn.
I second that.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote and we'll start with Rich Tremley.
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
and I for myself.
And-
Thank you
and
very
Rick-
much, gentlemen.
Good night.
And Rich, you're gonna send that summary of actions to
Send
Ashley,
it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna send it to Mary. Send it
or,
to Ashley.
or send it to Mary and copy Ashley. So that
Okay.
Mary doesn't have to then
Review.
send it to Ashley.
Yeah, that'd be great. And that way, if I see like any slight something that differs from my notes, I have the opportunity to raise my hand.
And feel free to correct my spelling and grammar. That's okay.
I have not corrected anybody's spelling or grammar. As long as it gets the point across, we're all good.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you very
Night,
much.
everyone.
Good
Take
night.
care. Bye.
Have a great night, everybody.
You too.